You've felt it, haven't you? That subtle, persistent hum behind your eyes. A low thrumming even when the world outside is quiet. It's the sensation of 1,000 tiny threads, each one a thought, perpetually being woven, unraveled, and rewoven within the intricate loom of your mind. You might be standing in a grocery store aisle, ostensibly choosing ripe avocados, but a part of you is elsewhere, replaying a conversation from yesterday, dissecting the precise inflection of a word, or meticulously mapping out the potential ripple effects of a decision you haven't even made yet. It's an internal landscape so vast, so ceaselessly active, that sometimes the sheer effort of simply being feels like a marathon run entirely within the confines of your own skull. Perhaps you notice it most intensely when you're trying to fall asleep, the moment your head hits the pillow becoming less a signal for rest and more an invitation for the mind's grand performance to begin. Every interaction, every possibility, every imagined scenario unfurls itself, each scene meticulously rehearsed and critiqued. You might even find yourself constructing entire mental dialogues, anticipating every conceivable objection, crafting the perfect response to questions no one has even asked. It's not worry exactly, not always. Sometimes it's just processing, a relentless, often exhaustive processing of everything. From the outside, it can look a certain way. People might tell you to just relax, to not think so much, as if the switch for this internal engine were easily accessible, easily turned off. They might interpret your quiet contemplation as aloofness, your careful consideration as indecision, your deep questioning as a lack of confidence. You've likely heard it all. You're overthinking it, delivered with a sigh, or, don't be so sensitive, said with a dismissive wave. The advice often misses the point entirely, framing your intricate internal world as a problem to be solved, a habit to be broken, rather than a fundamental aspect of how you experience existence. They see the surface ripples, but they rarely glimpse the powerful, complex currents churning beneath. They don't understand that for you, not thinking feels as alien, as impossible, as trying to stop your own heart from beating. What if this profound, sometimes overwhelming internal activity isn't a flaw in your design, but rather an intricate, if often exhausting byproduct of something else entirely? What if the very quality that makes you feel perpetually on the edge of mental saturation is also a sign of an extraordinarily rich inner life, a mind tuned to frequencies others barely register? We are talking about the quiet, relentless hum of the highly self-aware mind, the deep dive into every nuance, the intricate dance of reflection and projection that can lead you to overthink everything. This isn't a simple label. It's a territory we need to explore, not as a pathology, but as a complex adaptation, a way of being that has its roots in something far deeper than mere habit. Consider, for a moment, the landscape of your own brain. There are neural networks, vast constellations of interconnected neurons, that are particularly active when your mind is not focused on an external task. One such network, famously dubbed the default mode network or DMN, springs to life during introspection, when you're remembering the past, imagining the future, or contemplating your sense of self and your place in the world. For some, this internal world isn't just active. It's a bustling metropolis, perpetually humming with activity, constructing elaborate narratives about who you are, what you've done, and what might come next. In highly self-aware individuals, this network, along with others involved in self-referential thought and emotional processing, tends to be exceptionally robust, perhaps even hyperconnected. Imagine the difference between a quiet country road and a multi-lane highway operating at peak traffic. For you, the internal highways are always open, always busy. Information isn't just received. It's immediately routed through multiple processing centers, examined from every angle, cross-referenced with past experiences, and projected into countless future possibilities. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of an extraordinarily active, perhaps even over-efficient, internal simulation system. Think about the concept of metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. For most, metacognition operates somewhat in the background, a helpful but not all-consuming guide. For you, it's often center stage, an omnipresent internal monitor. You don't just have thoughts. You observe yourself having thoughts. You don't just feel emotions. You analyze the origins, implications, and nuances of those emotions. This constant self-monitoring is the engine of self-awareness, allowing for profound insight, deep empathy, and a nuanced understanding of human behavior, including your own. But it also means that every thought, every feeling, every interaction gets subjected to an internal audit, a rigorous examination that can feel endless. This capacity for deep internal analysis is often paired with a heightened sensitivity to external cues and internal states. It's as if your sensory receptors, both physical and emotional, are dialed up a notch. You notice the subtle shift in someone's tone, the fleeting expression that contradicts their words, the unspoken tension in a room. And once noticed, these details don't just pass by. They are collected, categorized, and meticulously processed by that busy internal system. Your nervous system, in a way, is a highly sophisticated antenna, picking up signals that others might filter out as background noise. This sensitivity, a gift in many ways, means there's simply more data for your already active mind to process, more threads to weave. Where does this begin? It's rarely a conscious choice to become an overthinker. Instead, it's often an adaptation, a brilliant, if sometimes exhausting strategy your system enacted to navigate the world. Think back, if you can, to the very earliest landscapes of your own becoming. Was there a time, perhaps in the quiet corners of your memory, when the world around you felt like a subtly shifting terrain, where the unspoken held more weight than the declared? A nervous system, finely tuned, learns quickly to observe, to anticipate, to connect seemingly disparate dots. When the ground beneath your feet felt less than entirely solid, or when the emotional currents of those around you were complex and often unarticulated, the mind developed a remarkable capacity for internal simulation. It became an internal cartographer, meticulously mapping the potential routes and pitfalls, not out of a desire for control, but out of a deep primal need for safety, for understanding. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where emotional safety wasn't always a given, where the rules were implicit rather than explicit, where the approval of others felt conditional or precarious. In such a landscape, developing a hypervigilance for social cues, for potential threats, for the underlying motivations of others, becomes a vital survival skill. Your mind learned to run endless what-if scenarios not as a pastime, but as a way to predict and prepare, to minimize potential harm, to ensure acceptance. You learned to scrutinize your own actions and words before they even left your mouth, anticipating every possible interpretation, every potential misstep. This wasn't a character flaw. It was a highly intelligent, deeply protective mechanism. Your system was simply trying to keep you safe, to help you make sense of a world that demanded a heightened state of internal readiness. It learned to rely on its own internal models because external ones were often inconsistent or unreliable. And so, this pattern became deeply ingrained, a neural pathway strengthened by repetition. The very act of analyzing and dissecting, of foreseeing and reflecting, became your default mode of operation. It's not something you can simply switch off because it's woven into the fabric of your perception, a deeply embedded strategy that has served you in profound, if sometimes tiring, ways. It's the way your brain learned to do its job, to keep you oriented and connected in a world that often felt less than perfectly clear. This way of moving through the world is not inherently wrong, nor is it superior to any other. It is simply one facet of human experience, a particular configuration of mind and nervous system. There are those who navigate life with a swift, decisive current, propelled by intuition and a more immediate focus on action. Their minds are perhaps less burdened by the infinite possibilities, less inclined to dwell on the subtle nuances. They move and they act and they adjust. And then there are minds like yours, the deep, still pools that reflect the sky with startling clarity, that absorb every ripple and shadow, that sift through the depths for meaning and connection. The world needs both. It needs the forward momentum and the profound reflection. The challenge arises when this highly self-aware, deeply reflective nature feels less like a strength and more like a burden, when the constant internal processing becomes a source of exhaustion rather than insight. It's when the relentless turning over of possibilities paralyzes action, or when the meticulous self-scrutiny curdles into self-criticism. It is not about pathologizing a natural way of being, but about understanding its origins and its mechanisms, so that you might relate to it with more compassion and wisdom. Here is the quiet paradox, the unexpected layer you might not have considered. The very act of overthinking, born from this profound self-awareness, also carries within it the seeds of its own transcendence. For while it can lead to endless rumination, it is also the wellspring of your deepest insights, your most profound empathy, your unwavering commitment to authenticity. The part of you that meticulously unpacks every interaction is the same part that can offer incredibly astute observations about human nature, the same part that can connect with others on a level of genuine understanding that few others achieve. Your internal critic, that tireless editor of your thoughts and actions, is also a highly refined instrument for self-improvement, for ethical navigation, for ensuring you live in alignment with your values. It pushes you to consider consequences, to refine your approach, to strive for a deeper understanding. While its voice can sometimes be harsh, its underlying intention is often one of care and protection. The challenge lies not in silencing this voice, which is likely impossible and perhaps even undesirable, but in learning to discern its wisdom from its anxieties, to offer it a seat at the table without letting it dominate the entire conversation. The cost of this constant vigilance is real. It can manifest as mental fatigue, as decision paralysis, as a tendency to get lost in the infinite possibilities rather than landing on a single choice. It can make relationships feel more complicated, as you endlessly analyze motives and meanings. It can make simple tasks feel monumental because every variable is considered. Yet, this very cost is often linked to the immense value of your sensitivity, your perceptiveness, your capacity for deep thought and profound feeling. It's a trade-off, not a defect. And so, perhaps the journey isn't about stopping the overthinking, but about understanding it. It's about recognizing that this ceaseless internal activity is not a sign of being broken, but rather a testament to the intricate, complex, and deeply intelligent way your mind processes the world. It's about understanding that the very mechanisms that lead you to overthink are also the ones that grant you a rich inner life, a profound capacity for insight, and a unique way of engaging with the world. To acknowledge this is to exhale, to feel a quiet loosening in the chest. Your experience makes sense. You are not alone in this intricate internal landscape, even if it often feels like a solitary journey. This is not something to fix so much as something to finally know, to understand with a new depth of compassion for yourself. It's simply how you are built, how you learned to be, how you came to see the world with such clarity and such intensity. There is more to understand about yourself, of course. There always is. The conversation about who you are, about the particular architecture of your mind, has only just begun. But for now, perhaps a quiet recognition is enough. A gentle knowing that the hum behind your eyes, the endless turning over of thoughts, is not a flaw, but a signature. And in that recognition, there is a certain kind of peace. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning about the profound depth of your own being. It is a journey worth taking, with an open heart and a curious mind. It is a journey worth taking, with an open heart and a curious mind. And as with any profound journey, it invites you to revisit the landscapes you've already traversed, but this time with a new map, a new compass, and a deeper understanding of the terrain. Perhaps you'll look back at moments of intense frustration, of baffling social missteps, of overwhelming sensory input that left you depleted and confused, and begin to see them not as failures of character or will, but as natural consequences of a system wired differently, encountering a world not always built to accommodate its unique operating parameters. Consider the times you felt utterly exhausted after seemingly mundane social interactions, while others appeared to thrive on the very same energy exchanges. Or the moments when a subtle shift in fluorescent lighting, a persistent low hum from an air conditioner, or the texture of a certain fabric could derail your entire focus, creating a deep internal dissonance that was impossible to articulate to those around you. These weren't weaknesses. They were indicators. Like a highly sensitive instrument picking up signals others simply filter out, your nervous system was processing a richer, more detailed, often more intense stream of information. This intensity isn't confined to the external world, but often extends inward, to the realm of emotion and thought. You might find that your emotional landscape is similarly vivid, perhaps even kaleidoscopic. Feelings might arrive with a force that feels disproportionate to the external trigger, or they might simmer beneath the surface, complex and intertwined, making them difficult to label or express in ways that others readily understand. There can be a profound depth to your empathy, an almost visceral absorption of the joy or suffering of others, which can be both a powerful gift and a source of immense vulnerability. This capacity for deep feeling, however, might also be accompanied by a perceived difficulty in showing emotion in conventional ways. The right facial expression, the appropriate vocal intonation, the expected social dance of emotional display, these can feel like an alien language, requiring conscious effort to mimic, a form of emotional masking that exacts a heavy toll. The concept of masking is a crucial one in this journey of self-discovery. For years, perhaps decades, you might have unconsciously developed a sophisticated internal algorithm, a complex set of rules and observations designed to help you navigate a world that often felt bewilderingly opaque. You learn to observe, to mimic, to predict, to smooth over the rough edges of your authentic self in an effort to blend in, to avoid misunderstanding, to prevent the feeling of being othered. This mask, however well-intentioned and protective, can become a significant burden. It consumes vast amounts of mental and emotional energy, leaving you depleted and disconnected from your true self. The peace you seek, the deep recognition of your own being, often begins with the brave and tender process of gently, gradually, removing that mask, piece by laborious piece, and allowing your authentic self to breathe. This authenticity extends to your cognitive processes as well. The endless turning over of thoughts isn't just rumination. It's a powerful engine of analysis, a relentless pursuit of understanding. Your mind might be drawn to patterns, to systems, to the intricate connections between seemingly disparate pieces of information. This can lead to a remarkable capacity for depth in your areas of interest, a joyful immersion in subjects that captivate you, often to the exclusion of everything else. These special interests are not mere hobbies. They are vital channels for your intellectual energy, sources of profound satisfaction, and often pathways to unique expertise. They fuel your curiosity and provide a sense of order and mastery in a world that can often feel chaotic. To deny or suppress these deep dives is to deny a fundamental aspect of your intellectual and emotional well-being. Yet, this intense focus can come with its own challenges. The very same mechanism that allows for deep concentration can make it difficult to pivot, to shift attention, to manage the multitude of tasks that demand your consideration in daily life. This isn't a lack of discipline or laziness. It's a difference in how your executive functions operate. Initiating tasks, prioritizing, organizing, transitioning between activities, these can be monumental undertakings, often accompanied by an internal resistance that feels inexplicable and frustrating. Understanding this isn't an excuse, but a foundation for developing strategies that genuinely work for you, rather than trying to force yourself into systems designed for a different cognitive architecture. It might mean breaking tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks, externalizing organizational systems, or building in dedicated transition times. It means acknowledging that your brain needs a different kind of support and offering that support to yourself with the same compassion you would offer a cherished friend. This journey also involves reevaluating your relationship with the concept of normal. For so long, you might have internalized the idea that there was a standard way of being, a conventional path, and that your deviations from it were flaws to be corrected. But what if normal is merely a statistical average, a comfortable center point on a vast spectrum of human experience, and not an ideal to which all must aspire? What if your particular architecture, with its unique strengths and challenges, is not an anomaly to be fixed, but a valuable variation, a different lens through which to perceive and contribute to the world? Embracing this perspective allows for a radical shift, from self-criticism to self-advocacy. It empowers you to articulate your needs, to set boundaries that protect your energy, and to seek out environments and relationships that are truly nourishing. This might mean choosing quieter social settings, advocating for specific accommodations at work, or explaining to loved ones why certain interactions deplete you while others energize. It requires courage, yes, but it also cultivates a profound sense of self-respect and integrity. You are no longer trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You are acknowledging the unique geometry of your own being and seeking contexts where you can truly flourish. The social landscape, in particular, becomes a fascinating area of re-examination. You might have experienced a deep longing for connection, coupled with a persistent feeling of being misunderstood, or of struggling to bridge the gap between your inner world and the outer one. Perhaps you've found superficial interactions draining, yet crave deep, authentic connections built on shared interests and mutual understanding. This isn't a contradiction. It's a hallmark of a mind that prioritizes depth over breadth, meaning over performance. The small talk, the unspoken social cues, the subtle nuances of body language, these can be incredibly complex to decipher, often feeling like an elaborate theatrical production in which you've missed the script. But when you find another who speaks your language, who understands your unique cadence, the connection can be extraordinarily profound and lasting, built on a foundation of genuine acceptance and shared intellectual curiosity. This shift in understanding can also illuminate your past relationships. You might recall friendships or romantic partnerships where you felt constantly on the periphery, or where your attempts at connection were misinterpreted. You might have been accused of being aloof, insensitive, or overly intense. With your new lens, you can reframe these experiences not as personal failings, but as clashes of communication styles, differences in processing speed, or simply the natural friction between divergent ways of experiencing the world. This allows for a release of lingering guilt or shame, replacing it with a compassionate understanding that you were simply being yourself, navigating the best way you knew how, in a world that wasn't always equipped to meet you where you were. The journey also extends to your relationship with structure and routine. While some might find routine stifling, for a mind that processes information with such intensity, structure can be a crucial anchor. Predictability can reduce cognitive load, freeing up mental energy that would otherwise be spent on navigating uncertainty. Establishing routines around self-care, work, and even leisure can create a sense of safety and flow, allowing you to engage more deeply with your passions and manage the demands of daily life more effectively. This isn't about rigidity for its own sake, but about consciously designing your environment and schedule to support your unique needs, creating a scaffolding that allows your creative and analytical mind to thrive without being overwhelmed by external chaos. Moreover, this understanding invites you to explore your relationship with change and novelty. For some, the new and unfamiliar can be exhilarating. For others, it can be deeply unsettling. If your brain thrives on pattern recognition and predictability, unexpected changes can trigger a profound sense of unease, even anxiety. This isn't a fear of the unknown in the traditional sense, but rather a disruption of the internal order, a sudden demand for rapid recalibration that can be taxing. Acknowledging this sensitivity allows you to approach change with greater intention, to prepare yourself for transitions, and to build in strategies for self-soothing and grounding when the world inevitably shifts beneath your feet. It's about recognizing that your system needs time to process and adapt, and extending that grace to yourself. The conversation about who you are, then, becomes a continuous dialogue, a rich tapestry woven with threads of introspection, observation, and compassionate inquiry. It's about noticing the subtle cues your body gives you when you're overwhelmed or understimulated. It's about tracking your energy levels and understanding what truly replenishes you versus what drains you. It's about honoring your need for solitude, for deep work, for sensory quiet, without apology or explanation. It's about celebrating the unique way your brain generates ideas, connects concepts, and perceives beauty in details others might overlook. This understanding is not a destination, but a process of ongoing refinement. There will be days when the world feels more accommodating, and days when the friction is palpable. There will be moments of profound clarity and moments of renewed confusion. But each step on this journey, each new piece of self-knowledge, builds a stronger foundation for living a life that is truly authentic and fulfilling. It cultivates a resilience born not of forcing yourself to conform, but of deeply understanding your own operating system and learning to navigate the world from a place of self-acceptance. It might also lead you to reevaluate your own strengths. Perhaps you possess an unwavering commitment to fairness and justice, a deep-seated integrity that compels you to speak truth to power, even when it's uncomfortable. This moral compass, often unyielding, can be a profound asset, guiding your decisions and interactions with an authentic sense of purpose. Or perhaps your intensity of focus translates into an extraordinary capacity for detail, for spotting inconsistencies, for pursuing excellence in your chosen fields. These aren't just traits. They are unique contributions waiting to be fully unleashed once you understand and embrace them. The journey also encourages you to build your own toolkit for self-regulation. If sensory input is overwhelming, what strategies can you employ to reduce it or mitigate its impact? Noise-canceling headphones, dim lighting, carefully chosen textures, designated quiet spaces. These are not indulgences, but essential tools for maintaining equilibrium. If social interactions are draining, how can you structure them to be more manageable? Shorter durations, clear agendas, focused conversations with trusted individuals. These are ways to engage without depleting your reserves. This is about proactive self-care, moving beyond simply reacting to overwhelm and instead designing a life that proactively supports your well-being. This exploration also extends to your relationship with your own inner critic. For many, a lifetime of feeling different or wrong can lead to a harsh internal voice, constantly pointing out perceived failures and inadequacies. But as you gain a deeper understanding of your unique neuroarchitecture, you begin to disarm that critic. You recognize that many of its accusations stem from a misunderstanding of your fundamental nature. The things it condemned as flaws, your intensity, your need for quiet, your meticulousness, your unique communication style, are now understood as inherent aspects of your being. This doesn't mean you stop striving for growth or improvement, but that this striving comes from a place of self-compassion and curiosity, rather than shame or self-loathing. In this ongoing dialogue with yourself, you might discover an unexpected sense of liberation. The freedom to be authentically yourself, even if it means diverging from societal expectations, is a profound gift. It allows you to shed the exhausting burden of pretending, to drop the mask, and to cultivate relationships based on genuine connection rather than performative effort. This liberation doesn't mean abandoning the world. It means engaging with it on your own terms, bringing your full, unique self to every interaction and endeavor. And what about the creative impulse? The unique way your mind connects ideas, your deep immersion in specific topics, your sensitivity to patterns and details. These are fertile grounds for creativity. Whether it manifests in art, writing, problem-solving, or innovative approaches to everyday tasks, your distinct perspective is a powerful wellspring of originality. Embracing your unique cognitive style can unlock a new level of creative expression, allowing your authentic voice and vision to emerge without the constraints of trying to fit into a predefined mold. This is not just about coping. It is about flourishing. The journey of self-discovery is also inherently a journey of self-acceptance. Acceptance is not resignation. It is a powerful act of recognition and validation. It is looking at every facet of your being, the luminous and the challenging, the effortless and the arduous, and saying, "This is me. This is how I am built. And that is okay." It is a profound act of self-love that allows you to move forward, not by trying to become someone you're not, but by fully inhabiting the person you already are, and learning to navigate the world from that place of strength and authenticity. This acceptance also extends to the ongoing nature of your learning. There will always be more to understand, more nuances to uncover, more layers to peel back. The human mind, especially one as intricate as yours, is a vast and fascinating universe, constantly revealing new constellations and hidden galaxies. This isn't a cause for anxiety, but for continued wonder and engagement. The conversation about who you are is not a one-time event, but a lifelong exploration, a continuous unfolding. And in this continuous unfolding, you might find a community. Others who resonate with your experiences, who understand the hum behind their own eyes, who have walked similar paths. Finding these connections can be incredibly validating, dissolving the isolation that often accompanies feeling fundamentally different. It's in these shared spaces that you can exchange strategies, offer mutual understanding, and celebrate the richness of neurodiversity. This isn't about retreating into an echo chamber, but about finding a supportive base from which to engage with the wider world, knowing you are not alone. Ultimately, this journey is about moving towards a life that is congruent with your deepest self. It's about designing your environments, choosing your relationships, and structuring your time in ways that honor your energy levels, stimulate your intellect, and soothe your sensory system. It's about moving from a place of perpetual adaptation and strain to one of intentional self-stewardship. It's about understanding that your particular way of being in the world is not a problem to be solved, but a unique and valuable configuration, deserving of respect, understanding, and profound compassion. The peace you feel when you acknowledge the signature of your mind is not a fleeting emotion. It's a deep, abiding sense of coming home. It's the quiet calm that settles when the internal struggle ceases, when the relentless push to conform gives way to the gentle embrace of authenticity. This peace isn't stagnant. It's dynamic, a grounding force that allows you to explore, to question, to learn, and to grow with an unwavering sense of your own worth. The journey continues, always, but now, it is undertaken with a clearer map, a steadier compass, and a heart brimming with self-knowledge. It is a profound exploration of your own being, an odyssey into the intricate wonders of your mind, and a testament to the enduring power of understanding and embracing the unique, remarkable individual that you are. And in this journey, you discover not just who you are, but the profound beauty and strength of that truth. This truth, once unearthed and embraced, becomes the bedrock upon which a new way of living is built. It's not merely an intellectual understanding, but a visceral knowing that permeates every fiber of your being, transforming the mundane into the meaningful and the challenging into opportunities for deeper alignment. The beauty lies in the effortless grace with which you begin to move through the world, unburdened by the need for external validation, no longer chasing shadows of what you think you should be, but simply being. This is the quiet revolution of the self, a rebellion against the clamor of comparison and the tyranny of expectation. And the strength? It's the unyielding resilience that blossoms from knowing your intrinsic worth, a strength that doesn't shy away from vulnerability, but embraces it as a source of genuine connection and profound courage. It allows you to stand firm in your convictions, not out of stubbornness, but out of an unwavering fidelity to your own spirit.